So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Come on. You couldn't have asked for a better midterm ad than that. When it comes to the State of the Union, the president and their team usually have one really specific goal in mind. In some cases, it's to unify the country, like George W. Bush after 9/11. Sometimes they want to tout and defend their record. In the case of Joe Biden, his goal of the last State of the Union was to prove that he was still competent and physically capable of running in the 2024 election. And yes, speeches, States of the Unions, they can have multiple goals, but there's usually one clear through line, one theme that ties all of these points together. It was really clear that last night, President Trump and his team wanted to set the stage for the midterm elections. And boy, did they deliver. If that was their goal, if that's the metric by which we should be judging them, I mean, that was a home run right there. The difference between Republicans and Democrats couldn't be any clearer. Just take a look at what Major Garrett had to say on CBS News.
As we have Major here at the table, I want to bring the conversation back here to our group watching along. Major, you've seen a lot of these, I think, more than any of us. What stood out to you?
Well, look, before the speech, many Republicans said one of the priorities for the president was to make sure Americans after this speech had a sense that the opposition party was off the rails, was crazy, their terminology, not mine. Many of the contrasts the president articulated tonight were to drive that message forward. That not only do I disagree with the opposition party sitting before me in Congress, but I disagree with them so strongly and they with me so much that they can't even applaud basic common sense thing. And that line that you mentioned, that he added to the speech, whether it was ad-libbed or not, the first obligation, American citizens versus illegal aliens, was meant to create a visual moment of perpetual contrast.
Yeah, what's particularly notable about that moment is that it was added. We know this because the media gets advanced copies of the speech before it happens. That's the version that's loaded into the teleprompter. In fact, Ryan James Gordusky reports apparently this wasn't on the script. Someone on CBS said, Trump is a master of this dark art of making these kinds of moments. And those moments, they go viral, and they're not just resonating with Republican voters and independent voters, they're even making waves in Democrat circles. Andrew Yang posted this on X. My 10-year-old, why are only half of the people clapping? For those of you who don't remember or are unaware, Andrew Yang ran in the Democrat primaries. So, you know, his son, it's not as if his son is shielded from the news, the media, or his son is growing up in an independent environment. No, his son is obviously in a left-wing Democrat bubble, and yet even he's confused. Hey, why aren't those people clapping? You should be clapping for making sure the government serves the people. And look, after watching several State of the Unions, they all start to blur together, right? You know, they're going to talk some about history. They're all going to defend and tout their economic record. They're going to award and recognize some people in the audience. And look, no offense to President Trump. I voted for the guy 3 times. No offense to him. But when you say everything is the best and the greatest and the most historic, it kind of starts to lose its meaning, right? So it's these sorts of moments that really stand out and resonate and go viral and really make a difference as far as how political fortunes are tilting. And to make matters even worse for Democrats, it's not as if them sitting down and not clapping was a form of protest. They didn't get a memo saying, hey, just keep a poker face, we're not going to engage. We know this because there were other moments in the speech where they all stood up and they all applauded. And it was those moments that really distinguish and point out, hey, you guys didn't clap for saying the American government should be for the American people. Just take a look at their reaction when President Trump started talking about banning insider trading in Congress.
Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
And obviously, the call out of Nancy Pelosi is well warranted. It's well known that she somehow mysteriously became a multi-millionaire overnight ever since she joined Congress. In fact, there are multiple websites that track her trades. This one right here shows she has an estimated net worth of $269 million, and over $212 million in trade volume have been tracked. And so basically, these websites allow you to see, hey, this is what Nancy Pelosi is buying right now. And you can also see when she's selling it. And a lot of people say, I'm actually not going to use an investment firm. I'm actually not going to use a financial advisor. I'm just going to follow what Nancy Pelosi is doing. And those people, hey, guess what? Somehow they're doing really well. And it's probably, and I use the word probably, because of insider trading. I'm just saying that for legal reasons. Now, it actually gets even better than that, because immediately after the speech, Nancy Pelosi went on CNN and she was asked about this moment. And boy, oh boy, did she look like a deer in the headlights.
There was one moment, Madam Speaker, where he called you out specifically around, of course, congressional stock trading. What do you say back to him?
I say back to him, as that's what members said, look at your own self. The inference he wants to draw is there was something wrong with that, which there wasn't. And if there was, people get prosecuted for it. For a long time now, we've been trying to pass this law. It doesn't have, now it has more support than it had before. And
Elizabeth Warren stood up and applauded. Elizabeth Warren stood and applauded tonight when the president talked about it.
Well, we all did. I did too. He said, did Nancy stand up? Yeah, I did too. A lot of people stood up. A lot of Democrats stood up. I think that will pass, depending on what the bill is. I mean, what we had, we thought we could.
Yeah, you could definitely tell she was not expecting that question from CNN. Well, during the speech, President Trump acknowledged many people. He gave credit to the men's hockey team. He pointed out and gave honor and thanks to many veterans. And he also pointed out some angel families. One of the most notable moments was the mother of Irina Zarutska, who was stabbed in North Carolina. And even here, the Democrats refused to stand for her mother.
Arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail, stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress.
Yeah, I think if anyone is upset at President Trump criticizing the Democrats, at the end of the day, the Democrats brought it upon themselves. There were so many moments that just go beyond politics. This is a mother of a daughter who was murdered, and she should still be alive today. And the Democrats can't even show any sympathy or empathy towards her. They have no remorse for what happened there. So that really made this an interesting speech. There was a duality to this. On the one side, you had President Trump being an attack attack dog going after the Democrats, really trying to plant the flag for the midterms. But on the other side, he had these softer, more human moments. And even on CNN, David Axelrod, don't forget, Axelrod, very close with the Obamas, very experienced political strategist. Even he is saying that President Trump perfectly executed these more empathetic moments to shape his perception and the party's reception with independent voters.
He also basically kept control of himself, which I think will be a great relief to his strategists and aides there. But the question, I mean, I think he did well from their perspective for the reasons that you say, John, and he used the gallery very skillfully to kind of simulate empathy, which is a thing that he's been lacking, and that's sort of a surrogate for that.
Yeah, so I think President Trump definitely pulled that off. Now, where he's getting a lot of criticism is, again, going back to his attack on the Democrats. And it wasn't just one, it was multiple times during the speech. But he never went after their policies directly. He only ever brought it up whenever they refused to stand, whenever they refused to clap. And look, they might not agree with his policy on taxes or on tariffs, but when they refused to stand for Irina's mother, when they refused to stand for the government being here to serve the American people, just common sense things that really should unify us, that's when President Trump seemed to really begin to lose his temper just a little bit. Take a look at this.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
Yeah, so it's moments like that that are getting President Trump a lot of flack in the media or even online. And look, to me, would I have liked the speech to be more unifying? Of course. Would I have liked a little more presidential decorum? Sure. But like I said earlier in the video, presidents and their teams usually have one very specific goal. Yes, they can have multiple goals, but there is that one through line. And to me, it's really clear the through line here was to really plant that flag for the midterms. So if that is the measure, if that's the grading metric for the speech, I thought he did a great job with that. Now, if his goal was to unify the country, that's another story. But it's not as if this is new for President Trump. In fact, on CNN, Jake Tapper was surprised because he attempted to go after President Trump for this, but he got a bit of pushback.
He said, quote, "These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy." I mean, but that's not something we ever heard from Obama or Biden from that stage.
No, I mean, listen, we never had a speaker rip up a speech either.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi famously ripped up Trump's State of the Union speech. She might not have said mean words. She might not have said he's crazy, but I seem to remember learning a saying when I was growing up: actions speak louder than words. Now, that may probably lead you to wonder, how was this speech received outside of political circles? If you're still watching, and if you watch my channel regularly, chances are, like me, you are a political junkie. You love the news, you love staying up to date. But how did this speech resonate with people who aren't political junkies, people who get their news through headlines or viral clips on social media? Well, CNN shocked a lot of Democrats when they revealed their flash poll immediately after the speech. But before we get to that, I would like to thank the members of today's Governor's Club. They are Blake Patsy, great to see you, and that was so gracious and generous of you, thank you, and Bunnyette Ralph. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I'm glad that you're here and that you enjoy. So apparently the approval for the speech was a lot more, and keep in mind, CNN, the media, the polls tend to lean a little bit to the left, so if it's showing numbers this good, it makes you wonder, what's it really like?
Among speech watchers tonight, 64% say his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. And look at the growth President Trump made over the speech. So pre-speech, it was 54% of speech watchers said his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, that number goes up 10 percentage points. So Donald Trump made some progress with people watching the speech from their pre-speech expectations to what they saw in the speech itself. And that 64% number, that's pretty much in range across all of his State of the Union addresses. In his first term, last year, the joint session, that's about what we've seen. Is roughly 2/3 have walked away from his speeches thinking he's going to move it in the right direction.
If last night's speech marked the start of the midterm election season, then I am sure that President Trump and the Republicans are thrilled with how things are playing out. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what was your favorite moment from the State of the Union? And it doesn't have to be a clip that I shared here on this video. If you watch the whole thing, I mean, it was almost 2 hours long, so there were so many moments I could have shared, but for the sake of time, of course, I can't cover all of them, so these were a few of my favorite highlights. For me, though, it had to have been that moment where President Trump really put Congress to the litmus test. Stand up or sit down, and right there, the difference couldn't be clearer. So let me know, was that your favorite moment, or was there another one that stood out to you? If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.